Hi, all my omnivores. So I am super excited about this stream. I know Edmar and I have been been waiting for this one with anticipation. We have with us today, and pardon my pronunciation, I did practice this. Universidad de Artes Digitales in Guadalajara, Mexico. I know that's awful, but
Pretty good.
this
That's pretty
is
good.
It was good. It was good.
No, it was
the
good. It was good.
uh, they actually without us even knowing here at NVIDIA, they actually took Omniverse and made a game engine with it, making custom connectors using Omniverse. And I'm so happy to have you guys on here today. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Edmar, my co-host.
Thank
um,
you, Wendy.
yeah,
This is,
and my
this is
best
super,
friend. Yeah.
this is super exciting. My partner in crime, Wendy, and I have definitely been super excited about this and working on the work around what UAD has done, which will as a nickname for the university, for quite some time. We actually started discussing the work making Omniverse connectors way back when they kind of posted it almost just kind of casually on our Omniverse Discord server. And then we ended up being so excited. We shared it with the internal team. What they had done is made a custom game engines, which is part of the requirement for graduating if you're an engineer at their school. And then what they did is they built Omniverse connectors, making their engines being able to work with an Omniverse and talk to each other in real time. Fascinating stuff. So we basically worked with them and released a nice blog post on it. We'll post a link in a second. It'll be in the description. They were invited to our user group last month where they briefly described the process. And today is basically our opportunity to kind of no holds barred to be able to talk about all the juicy details about not only their program, but about what interested in them in Omniverse and how did they go about making connectors and what are they doing in the future. So super exciting day today for us, as it's been like kind of a multi-stage approach to get this team on here. One thing I'll say, so for anyone who's just tuning in or is new to the channel, welcome and thank you. This is NVIDIA's Omniverse stream, where we talk about the Omniverse platform, which is NVIDIA's platform for real-time simulation and collaboration. So if you do a search for NVIDIA Omniverse, you'll see it right away. You can go to nvidia.com/Omniverse if you like. You'll see all the great details on there. And we're in open beta right now, and there's a lot of cool, exciting stuff we just shared about during GTC. The way Omniverse works is kind of uses the USD file format to be able to allow you to use the existing tools that you know and love already to expand functionality of those tools, connecting them to the Omniverse platform, and invites new opportunities for greater simulation, fast rendering, beautiful rendering, and also probably most importantly, I think for today's topic is collaboration. That being said, one quick announcement. We now have these streams available on RSS thanks to Wendy. So you can go to rss.com and search for NVIDIA Omniverse. And if you don't have the time to watch a live stream, you can listen to it in your spare time whenever is convenient. So for anyone watching in real time, please use the chat. We're on YouTube and Twitch right now, so use that fully. Ask any questions you like. If we can't get to your question, we'll get to it later, either on the forums or on Discord. Wendy also is our forum manager, or forum queen, I like to say. So anyone who's familiar with our support there is very familiar with Wendy already. And I help manage the Discord server, which is available at discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse. So that being said, why don't we jump right into it? This is going to be super exciting. So I guess let's start with we have a few people here. Let's start with talk about the program first. So why don't the faculty introduce themselves first, and then after you introduce yourself, why don't we talk a little bit about what the university actually specializes in, and then what is your program at the university all about?
Sam, do you want to start first?
Sure. Well, hey guys. I'm Samuel Prince. I'm the head of the board for the engineering at the Universidad of Artes Digitales. Basically, I'm also professor for game engines and shaders into that one, and I'm also a game developer for it. Some 20 years of experience. Quite excited to be here, actually. Marco, go ahead.
Oh, my name is Marco Millán. I'm a teacher given the subject of tools for game development here at the same university. And well, this year was my first year giving classes, and the students right here that are in the stream with you are the first generation of graduates that are using now Omniverse as part of their tools of their game engines.
That's awesome. And so tell us a little bit about the university itself. So the university obviously has, it's not just game development, right? There are other programs there.
Well, yeah, basically the university started somewhat about a little more than 10 years ago, and it focused actually on careers directed to the multimedia and basically the technology ecosystem that it's been happening in Guadalajara since. We do have some 4 courses right now. That one of them is engineering, the other one is animation. We have also multimedia production, and we actually added a new one that's game design last year. So basically, we have right now a full ecosystem for game development.
That's awesome. And so the students that are with us, we'll meet each of them in a second. These are the first graduates from the game program?
Uh, Not really. Well, actually, we have been working since for quite some time, and actually, polishing the full courses. But this is actually our first, let's say, right now, our first generation actually that we included Omniverse, and that we've been adding a lot more of the new technologies and well mechanisms to the course. So as a way of speaking, it's not our first generation, but our first one with Omniverse.
Okay, cool. Well, that makes sense since Omniverse is so new. Um, I thought what was most fascinating about this originally is just the fact that not only so there are two things I think that are very unique about your program. And I should share that I'm an adjunct professor at also a very good school called Champlain College Game Studio in the United States. And like your program, our graduates go on to some great studios and publishers across the world. And I was immediately struck by one of the requirements that you have for your engineering class, which is basically, and I feel like maybe the only university just that does this, is you have the requirement that the students make some type of game engine, a custom game engine built relatively from scratch. That's correct, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. We actually somewhat of 5 years ago we actually did that change because as you say we do know what other universities has been trying to do with game development around not just Mexico but other places. And one thing that we actually saw that was happening over here is that most of the students were drifting between all of the areas of game development, right? They were getting some classes for design, for animation, for art creation, for basically even audio, I believe. At that point, we actually had that one. And at some point, we actually saw that the projects that we were creating with the students, well, obviously weren't that big of a deal because they were covering a lot of ground, right? So what we actually did at that point was take uh, the decision actually to focus mainly we said we said actually if this is an engineering course, we actually need to focus on the engineering, right? So we went on full straight ahead with that, and since then we've been correcting our course to be just obviously games, and we cover a lot of the gaming technologies and everything in there, but we always go with the technology side of it for this course.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's fascinating to go that route because I think a lot of schools do kind of just keep their students really focused on Unity or Unreal or Godot for game engines, Game Maker maybe for the beginning years. So that's I'm really interested to hear from the students now directly. So introduce yourselves, and then the first question I'm going to ask you is, were you excited or still nervous to work on your own game engine? So we'll talk about that first. But why don't you introduce yourself? So why don't we start with let me see, Juan Miguel.
Yeah. My name is Juan Miguel Cerdo Ordaz. I just graduated from the Universidad de Artes Digitales, or Digital Arts University in English. And in my last year, I created a game engine from scratch. And in my last month at university, I created an Omniverse Connector for my engine. Also, I love to make video games in my spare time.
That's awesome. And tell me what did you have a focus in school, a specific part of engineering, or more of a generalist?
I'm more generalist, but I really like inverse kinematics. I actually added a little bit of that in my engine a while ago.
Very cool. And then okay, so we're gonna talk about more in depth about your specific engine and the connector you made in a moment. But so the requirement to make your own game engine, was that something that you very much look forward to, or is that something you felt like was kind of a big can of worms to do in your last year?
It was very hard. I didn't expect to do a game engine from scratch when I entered the university. I just wanted to make games, but it was worth it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's a really, really smart thing to do. And so C++ is what you guys used.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. Okay, so let's speak to your colleague. How about Roberto?
Hello. In this case, my name is Roberto Charton. I'm a game engine programmer, and by this moment, probably we are almost in the same things, but probably focusing on different aspects on the career. Mainly, right now, I'm focusing on Omniverse because it's one of the things that I developed for my thesis project and for my degree. That actually I get it since 2 days ago. And yes, this is the things that I was developing on the last month and actually year and a half.
And so did you have similar feelings about working on your own custom game engine?
Yes, at the beginning, it was like, I entered to the university not knowing anything about video games. I have been played probably 2 or 3 games, probably Halo Reach or something like that, and I was like, I like to enter to developing games, and I found university and everything, and it was a complete different world, from what I was expecting. It was more because normally we see the industry as just video games, but not about the technology that we need to develop to create the video games. That is the cool part.
Video games drive technology, really.
Yes, correct.
It's so true. And as Sam well knows, you tell people that you work in the game industry, and you have such a great life. It's so you must have so much fun every day.
It's all fun.
It's very, very challenging work, right? Especially the more ambitious or scope it is, and involves sometimes a great many people. So it's but it is, I have to say, it is a lot of fun too. But it's definitely a lot of work. Okay, so thanks. So Roberto will also circle back with you on your own engine and also your thesis work, which sounds super exciting. So Sergio, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I think all of us are in the same situation, but well, after my graduation, I'm working in my degree project with ray tracing. Employ my English.
No,
I think you can understand me.
No, it's
loud and clear. Yeah.
Yes, it's great. And and again, I want to thank each of you for taking the time to come on this, and we should do a future version in Spanish too, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who would appreciate that too. So we can definitely do that. Okay, so now let's circle back to the Omniverse question. So,
right
go ahead.
before we go there, I wanted to just real quick highlight the university. Right here, you guys can see on your screen. This is their website. It is such a cool website. They have all kinds of stuff that they've been working on, games, movies, animation, all that kind of stuff. This is a legit school. These guys know what they're doing here. Edmar, I don't know if you wanted me to play the video of the user.
Oh yeah, actually, it's a good point. We have a short video of highlights of the students and the work on their engine. So that's a great idea, Wendy.
Okay, so yeah, let's do that, and then we'll dig into like what everyone, more details into what everyone's working on.
Hello, my name is Juan Miguel Cerdordaz. I just graduated from the Game Development Engineering program at the Digital Arts University, and today I'm going to talk a little about how I made an NVIDIA Omniverse Connector for my custom game engine. So, the first step to make the connector was learning how to do it. Luckily, there was a Connect example in the Omniverse library, and I downloaded it and read it many times until I understood how it worked. Then I found out there was actually a video of the creator of the example explaining his code, and I wish I knew that before. And when I saw that Omniverse had live synchronization of the scenes, it looked like a great solution and I wanted to try it. So I linked everything and I was finally ready to start making the connector. The next thing I wanted to do was save geometry in the USD files. Then I add the functionality of saving and loading other components like point lights, spotlights, the transformations to keep the position, rotation and scale of the game objects. The last thing I added to the connector was live synchronization, which allows you to share all the scene changes in real time with all the clients that are connected to the same scene, as long as they support Omniverse. And you can see that I can move any object in one client and the other client sees the changes in real time. And that's it. That was my experience making an Omniverse connector. I had a lot of fun, especially with the live synchronization. And I think Omniverse has a lot of potential, both connecting people and connecting tools of many kinds of programs. So you should definitely try it out. Thanks for watching.
My name is Sergio Diaz. I'm a junior developer engineer. When I first integrated Omniverse to my own engine, I felt lost because I didn't know where to start or what libraries to use. But over time, we figured it out and progressed. To be honest, until I started working with Omniverse, it hadn't caught my attention. But while I was integrating it, it seems like a very useful tool as well as a fun one. I have to spend time doing trial and error to learn how some things worked to use it correctly. It will be the same with the things that I have not synchronized and the things that I have not implemented in my own engine. My own engine, Jet Engine, can connect to Nucleus server to create, modify, and delete folders and files. It reads USD files to get the scene in them, and loads models and likes. The components that I haven't added yet are loaded as empty objects, so they can be moved. The greatest achievement was the integration of LiveSync. With it, I can move objects in my engine and NVIDIA Create app at the same time. And thanks to a VPN, my classmates and I could do it the same in a remote form, each one with his own engine. My favorite feature is the LiveSync. I think it's the feature with the most potential and that it will help a lot in the production time.
Hi, I am Roberto Territon, a graduate in video game development engineer. I want to tell you a little about Bushok Engine, which was created in order to optimize process in loading 3D geometry. The engine took a lot of time and work. My friends and I complement each other in developing the basis of the engine to be able to give it a more professional use. At the end of my career, I realized that video game production took a lot of time because the import and export times of scenes were very long, so I decided to create a tool that allowed me to optimize development time. This was the moment when I discovered Omniverse technology, and its technical support team that support me throughout the technical process. The main idea was to create a real-time session with two people, but after working together with my friend Sergio Diaz with the work sessions through private VPN networks, it was possible to create work sessions with more than 10 collaborators at the same moment. The future Bushok engine and the Connect project is to create a connection in my 2D and the 3D engine to be able to teach this technology to more people. As well, there is a pipeline to integrate the USD files as a main structure to store the load files and 3D geometry and more things in both engines, and be able to have it as a natural technique in all the engines. Just to tell you, my favorite things about the engine, and in this case the technology of NVIDIA, is to use it with the real-time communication and the new technology of the ray tracing. Thank you for creating this technology that helped me to develop this project and for you to listen to me. Bye bye.
Okay, so we kind of talked about this a little bit off the stream, but that was a lot of work you guys did for that few short minutes in that video.
Yeah, well, so
Yeah.
it is amazing. And I'm really curious. So two things, I guess. If I remember correctly, I think Marco or Sam, one of you have told me that because I asked, how did you guys come across Omniverse? Because at the time when you posted about it on our Discord server, we had limited we had documentation, but we didn't have that many tutorials on making connectors. How did you come across Omniverse? If I remember correctly, one of the students had an idea for building something like Omniverse, and I think one of you had actually let them know that Omniverse already existed. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, I came across Omniverse in March last year. I mean, actually, I did a small presentation of the idea that was set up on GDC last year for at that point the company I was working on, and I started researching a little on that, right? So I didn't put a lot of effort to creating anything on that, but I was quite curious and started researching on what was it all about. And actually, Roberto here, talking Chari, when he was actually at my class in engine development, we started discussing something like that, because one of the main events that we actually have at the university, it's the Global Game Jam, and for the
Cool.
past few years, actually, we've been having a lot of issues with a lot of people from other places come out actually and join us for that event, and we start working with people that doesn't have a lot of experience or doesn't know or are not quite familiar with the pipelines that we do have actually inside in the university. And there's always this issue, right? There's always the team that they had everything perfectly aligned to have their project for delivery, but then something broke, someone opened a file that shouldn't have, and basically one day of work is just getting everything up again. Right? And that actually for Cherry, I believe for his first year at the Global Game Jam was one of the big deals. Yeah, right. And we discussed those kind of projects and on the development of their engines. And when I started, when we actually get to that point, Cherry came with this idea of actually getting something that could actually help us work in a more integrated way, in a more real-time way, and not just start pushing each other on that, right? And at that point, I actually remembered that I had seen Omniverse, and I told him, okay, I told you what, I've seen this thing in development. I don't know if it's actually what's gonna be used for this, or if we actually could approach this, but let's say next semester we can actually add it to the course for tools. I will actually talk with with Marco, and we can start prepping everything so that we can add this to our curriculum, right? And we can go from there. And basically, that's the way we started with this.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And what did? Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting. You're going to add to that?
No. Continue, please.
So what did Omniverse add to it? Why would anyone want to look at a connector? You explained a couple of reasons right now, but just why don't we explain what a connector is actually?
Well, as we have been looking at the NVIDIA platform in Omniverse, the connector lets information flow between applications. So what we did in the class of the tools for game development was that students already have the engines. They're already finishing them by the time they get to my class. So as Sam said, the idea was to give something more, to get better value to game engines. And now, thanks to the work that they have been doing during those past few months, the three engines can work together as one, thanks to what the connector does.
And so in the case of each of the engines, so why don't we talk about what each of your engines kind of is specialized for really quick. So Juan Miguel, you want to start? What is your engine's focus?
I think it's more easy to use. I've been focusing more on that, but it has a lot of features, like has for example, the scene graph. It has a nav mesh baker. It also has support for animations, PBR materials. It has inverse kinematics. It's the thing I wanted to do. They didn't. The school didn't. How to say that? Make me do that. I did it myself because I like inverse kinematics. In my game, I use it a lot for my enemies and things like that to animate them procedurally. So I wanted to add it to my engine. So I would say the inverse kinematics is my focus right now in my engine.
Very cool. That's awesome. That's a pretty healthy list of features. Roberto?
Actually, it's a cool question. It's something that probably each month that we develop in the engine, some things changes. I believe that for my engine, part of that is the optimization on, for example, loading models and stuff related to the geometry. Since the beginning, probably there are a lot of ways to load information, but I was thinking about optimizing the information. I believe that that's important in all this process to load more geometry and more guidance words and everything.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Yes, I believe that it's important, and I was very interested in looking how to improve those things in my engine from scratch. It was not easy, I had to say it, but after I was developing some things, I saw that it helps a lot on the development. And after I include the USD files from Omniverse, the whole pipeline changed because now I have like my raw data, and those files that I store now are USD files, are not custom files or something like that. So the pipeline is getting better each day, I believe. And actually, I believe that that's the main focus on the engine at this moment, at the Bushwick engine.
That's great. And yeah, because you're continuing to work on yours post graduation.
Yes, correctly.
Yes, very cool.
Funny thing about geometry was that the first tool that they had to do in my class was actually they had to take the Maya application software for 3D modeling, and the first thing that I asked them was to create their own specific extension so they would know how the geometries integrate inside the file format, and so things would go smoother and work faster in between their engines and Maya. And when we get to the part of NVIDIA Omniverse that actually can control these from the USD file, but like, okay, you already know what and how that works because you already did it from scratch on your systems. So now that you know how USD files work and how you can format things inside of custom files, this ability of seeing things will make smoother all what you have already done in the past few months.
Yes, as well. Just to comment, when we normally into the engine we create like custom plugins to add technology, for example, the Mayak plugin into the engine. Uh, but the process is complicated because everything is from scratch and you need to have all the variables and all the stuff. When we discovered the connectors from Omniverse, it was like, we know about that technology, and it was really easy to use in the way that, for example, and now that we manage the data, all the things that we need to do is the bridge that is creating the connector, and that's all. Yes, and that's all.
Yes, so I definitely want to hit on that. What was involved, the kind of work that was involved in making the connector. But before I do, I want to ask Sergio really quick about his engine's kind of uniqueness. Sergio, what would you say is your kind of special thing about your engine?
Well, I think the special thing that my engine had, no today, but one day, the deploy my graphics with ray tracing. I'm working in that, and actually I want at can take screenshots for random animations for short videos or things like that.
Very cool. That's awesome. And then we'll talk about the connector in just a second. I think Sam and Marco, you have a meeting at school, right? You need to head off relatively soon for? Who had the meeting?
Sam?
Oh, actually, well, I think we still have a little time, but don't
Okay,
worry
cool.
about it.
Well, just let us know. Just raise your hand when you got to go, and we'll say goodbye. But Sam might be leaving a little bit early. We'll still the rest of us will still be here. But I don't want to. Just want to give you an opportunity to go when you need to. I don't want you to get in trouble at work. Okay, cool. So now let's talk about. So as I said earlier, I thought what was so fascinating and what we were at NVIDIA, the Omniverse team, were so impressed about is that you had actually done a lot of the research and experimentation and work on the connectors with very little reliance on our own resources. And as I said, at that time was a little earlier, but and we do have a pretty large amount of videos now on NVIDIA On Demand, on YouTube, tutorials, documentation, a lot of articles. But you didn't really use much of that stuff, even at that time. So tell me what it was like kind of building the connector and what was the work like?
I don't know if you want me to tell that part.
Yeah, I think you do.
The first thing that I need to investigate to connect Omniverse into my engine was about the libraries and all the information, because before I knowing about Omniverse, I was planning to do everything from the scratch, like a psycho or something like that. It was a hard work.
A true chef.
Yes. I believe that probably when you all begin to develop all the technology, it was the same. But when I begin to investigate about Omniverse, I found first the application, right? Create and everything related to, in this case, the apps that are inside the ecosystem. After that, I believe that the second thing that I was expecting, it was like, oh, we need documentation to see what is happening here. And that was the first, it was not, it was like a happy trouble, I don't know, because there was no documentation like in other tools, because, the technology is in development. But I found this Discord group when we found, and I started to asking questions about, I need to connect my engine into your technology into a custom engine, and everyone was talking to me like, you are crazy, man. You don't need to do that. We have the extensions, and I was like, no, I need the libraries, and probably like a month and a half, I was like, scratching and seeking for that. And finally, someone at the group told me, you need to access into this specific folder in the computer, and then you can grab that stuff and include it into your project. It was cool to not knowing that, because in that way I learned how to develop the extensions that I believe that
Very
are
cool.
awesome as well.
Yeah.
They helped me a lot at testing and knowing how they manage the connection with libraries and everything. But I believe that after they mentioned to us how to connect the libraries into the engine, I speak with as my friends. We all the three connect the Omniverse libraries into the engine.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Every class, the first thing that I would ask was, okay, what did you learn from the documentation? What did you find from the source code? What files each of you are looking at, and we will all discuss what we were learning from all the code, and like reading everything, and little by little, with the information that Charo was getting from the group and what we could find from the code, we started building up the system. So, Charo now has the ability to sing. Now, Mike has the ability to get information from a USD. So we have now properties like material or precision. And then Charo was like, okay, I got information about multiple meshes, and now I can store different objects like lights and not only geometry. So each of the students started helping each other, so each of their connectors would have almost the same level of development.
So I have a quick question. Like, how was the collaboration with Omniverse compared to whatever you used previously? Did it improve your, make things go faster, or because it was still very new?
You, Mike.
Yes, it was very helpful. For example, I always work in my laptop, and I have all my resources here, my models and things like that. But for example, if I wanted to try VR in my engine, I had to connect it to my other desktop computer, and I needed to pass all the models, all the textures, and everything to my computer, and that was slow. But now I can just store everything in the Omniverse nucleus, save it, and just load it back whenever I need it.
And be happy.
Yeah, and also with the live synchronization, move things in my laptop and see the changes in my desktop computer. So it improved my workflow.
That's awesome.
It's very cool. And Roberto, I want to also dive into well, so two things, I guess. So Sam and Marco, I know that the school is also going to continue using Omniverse, from what you shared with me earlier. So I want to talk about that and how your use of Omniverse will change, if any, from what you have just finished with this current class. And Roberto, I guess first with you. So your work is continuing with Omniverse and your engine. And I saw actually just from our Discord and talking with a couple of other Omniverse users that you're working with a few other users that are, I think, our first Omniverse ambassador, Pekka Varis, working with him. And I think Christopher Scott also from Outdoor Living. You guys are all working on a project together.
Very cool. Yeah.
So that's exciting. So whatever you want to share on that, whatever you can share, definitely do. But it's okay if you need to keep that secret for now. But what are you? Tell us a little bit about your thesis and the work you're going to be continuing on with.
Okay. Yes, I have been. After I know about this server, I start asking a lot of questions. And one thing that I like about the community at all here on the server is that everyone is trying to help you, or probably he has a question, or she has a question, or everybody has a question about anything. And probably it's like, if you need further help, let's talk on private to see what is happening. After that, that's the way that I know Pekka Berries, for example. he asked me, he recommended me with one of his collaborators to develop things with Omniverse, and that was a great job opportunity. Actually to work and start beginning to make things with the technology of Omniverse, and as well developing, in this case, with the same things that we know since the beginning.
That is so exciting. That's awesome.
Yes.
And Sam, Marco, so what are your plans with this school now that you have more experience with Omniverse? Omniverse, obviously, as you saw from GTC, there's a lot of new functionality, new features coming over the coming months. NVIDIA's investing a lot in building out this really massive platform connecting everything. What do you make of all that, and what are your plans with using it?
Well, I will say first, the first thing that we actually have in motion right now, Mark and myself had been actually discussing on this one, is as we see the flexibility and possibility of creating, as you say, as every student has to create its own engine, but everyone has different approaches and different ideas to create their own thesis, because we actually try them to push to create something new. We actually want to use this and create a full library of tools actually from the students, right? That we can actually just add to them and let the the newcomers and everyone just to start using it, right?
That
And
is so
in a way that
awesome.
actually integrate with their own projects in an easy manner. That's actually the first thing that we have started right now to discuss, and how to prepare everything and lay the ground so that every new student comes with their new ideas, but know that they have access to all this previous work, right? And that they can just use that in their own engines in an easy way. Another things that we have actually been planning and discussing with the heads of the other courses, it's how can we actually provide them with also this kind of tools and knowledge, so that they can actually start working in a more uh, uh, understandable way for actually us when we require some content, and they actually how can we help them improve their workflows with their own projects, right? This is also that we think that's something that we can add to the school as infrastructure. And also we have some other projects that we might not want to discuss right now the full scope of that, but we're trying to come up with new ideas on how actually we can use this, not just for the creation of content, but actually for the management of content in real time, right? And that's something that we're trying to research and experiment, so that we can come with something that we have on the board, let's say. But
Right.
yeah, we actually are pretty excited to start using this in different ways, and we see the potential that we have also to start working with different technologies, and also porting our contents to new engines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's great because normally we've been focused a lot on these live streams about talking to creators, artists, uh, revolving around contest, or Blender users, Maya users, and have not spent nearly as much time speaking to the developer audience, people who are actually making the tools or the extensions, or connecting their work into the Omniverse. So that I'm curious about how your program's connecting those dots too, because you obviously have artists and animators that would be the users, and the engineering class, which is working on their own engines. Well, first, I get how large is your game program in terms of number of students?
Well, that's that's not that big actually. That's one of the things we have. We are pretty rough, but mostly we start, let's say, a class with, let's say, uh, from 40 to 28 students.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the course, it's pretty intensive, so
Pretty demanding, yep. So
pretty
not
demanding,
everyone
right?
can. So
But
we're
yeah,
talking people who survived.
yeah, we actually we are talking to the survivors, right? But yeah, actually, every generation it's something like that, right? It's a lot of people. We don't have that much people, but we actually try to get them to a really good place.
Yeah, I mean that speaks a lot of the graduates, right, of the program. I think that's pretty amazing. So, and how does it? Each of the game engines and the engineers here with us today, did you work closely with game designers and artists yourself, or did you kind of do your own game programmer art, as it's called?
In this case, I believe that it depends. Probably, I lost the last part of the question. I don't know if you can help me to repeat it.
Oh, just did you work closely with other developers like artists or animators or game designers when working on your engine?
Yes, we have a friend in common that is called Olaf. Actually, it's a friend from all the career. Normally, in all the projects and developments that we have, we try to ask him to help us on some types of animations or things like that related to 3D models and art. And normally, he's the one that can provide us with models and things that we wanna test on the engines and in different projects, actually.
Cool. And who came up with the horse and the promotion image we used? The human character was that a horse or is that another body?
It was like a horse soldier, something like that.
Uh-huh.
The body of a human and the body of a horse. I don't know where that model is from. I just found it in some free models page, but it's cool.
He's not fat, he's big boned.
And actually, and just a quite technical note. So I'm hearing back from one of our devs on the team that Wendy, your mic is a little low.
Okay.
So maybe up your input a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, and Sam, I also want to talk a little bit about your background in the game industry. Actually, you touched on it earlier. You introduced yourself, but you've actually worked on some pretty significant projects that probably most people who knows gaming would have heard of. I think, right?
Well, yeah, actually, I'm actually coming out from a great opportunity that I had working in Back 4 Blood.
Yeah.
I was a game director in that one. It's a pretty cool game. And yeah, mostly, I've before that, and years back, I've worked into Sims 4 and Battlefield 3 and Battlefront, actually, the Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh, wow.
With EA and some other projects that weren't that that known. I actually work at on a Lucha Libre game. It's actually the only AAA game made in Latin America. I was actually I worked into that one, and yeah, I mean, been doing a lot of that for the past 20 years, just trying to get some opportunities and actually try to get those kind of opportunities for these guys, right? To try and integrate into it.
No, that's fantastic. I could see where that experience would be super helpful for development of your program, and probably also explains a lot why not everyone can make it through, because it is pretty tough. If you're trying to train them for real life work, and especially in the AAA industry, makes a lot of sense. Now, we talked earlier about perhaps sharing one of your screens if you wanted to walk us through something. Did we still want to do that? Do a little show and tell?
It was just in case to show the connectors, but since you have showed a little video, I think that's enough.
Okay. Okay. So what? This is kind of a broad question, and so anyone can answer it. But I'm wondering, because every time I talk to people about Omniverse, especially developers, they're kind of excited about a different thing. So I'm really curious about what is like the top thing you're most looking for? What does this enable? I mean, we talked a lot about the collaborative part of it. And now that you've got to fool around with it and obviously realize the potential of the that, as well as simulation and rendering, what it's a big platform. So now that you guys have really dived into it, what kind of excites you the most about the future? Like think ahead. What do you think Omniverse makes possible in your eyes?
Everything.
Everything.
I like that answer.
I believe that after making some conclusions on back days, um, one of the things that I was seeing on the technology is that it's not just for making video games. It's
Right.
for more than that. It's for creating technology for all different aspects in the normal life. Uh, I
Absolutely. Yeah.
I normally saw this type of technologies in the past, like it's just video games, and video games. But since I have been working with this technology, I focus and check that we can implement a lot of tools integrated into, professional developments in other type of technologies that use artificial intelligence, this intelligence that know about information and everything. I believe that that's the future. Probably as well. Speaking about the bears that you are creating, probably that's how in the future the development in studios will work, connected into one single file or single files into different projects, but working all in the same without losing information and everything.
Yeah, especially I understand that from game development background specifically. That's always a big challenge, right?
Yeah.
Especially the larger team you have. There's the limitation of not being able to work on the same thing at the same time, but also just in version control and updating and bumping heads, breaking builds, as you said before. So that's. Does anyone have any other thoughts on that before I move on to the next? Okay, Roberto said it very well. So that was a great answer. No, and I share that equally. I think it's pretty transformative in my eyes. And we've done one stream so far. Actually, yeah, we've done one stream where we showed several developers working at the same time, actually from different continents, from their own homes, on the same scene. And we're going to be doing more of that, so people can really realize what this kind of enables. So I want to also take a moment to promote you as developers and what the next phase is for you on your personal journey. So we talked a little bit about Roberto and he's working on his thesis, and he's working with Pekka, who I just noticed is on our chat helping you answer questions. Thank you, Pekka. You're awesome. But Miguel and Sergio, are you guys currently actively looking for work in the game industry or otherwise, or kind of what's next for you?
I don't know who wants to begin.
I'm currently working on a video game here in Mexico with here Sam Prince and a game designer named Diego. And also I'm going to start also teaching some classes of game prototyping at the UAD.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Following the footsteps of Marco.
If you need a game tester, I know somebody. Me. I'd love to help.
Is the game you guys are working on together, is it too early to talk about, or can you share any details on that?
I don't know if I can share anything.
You can say it's top secret. That's okay. Then you.
I think that will be fine. I don't see any problem actually with just giving a little glimpse of it.
I don't know if I have a new build of it. I need to open Unity, but I think maybe another time.
We could definitely, we could definitely do a show.
Do another one.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about it? Like, what's the high level?
It's, how to say it? It started like a bullet hell punch out, but it has evolved, and it's currently we are prototyping with more Souls-like combat in this boxing game, and that's what we are working currently.
Very cool. And this is meant for PC?
Yeah, but also consoles, I think.
Okay, cool, awesome. And Sergio, what's on your radar next?
First, I'm
You're still
Sergio,
thinking
we're
about it.
losing your audio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's,
it's
you're
flipping.
going in and out a little bit.
Now?
Yes.
Better? Okay. I say my degree is the first that I wanna do, but I'm currently waiting for my interview response.
Nice. So you're applying. That's great.
Yeah, it's for aerospatial. Um, how can I
Yeah,
say?
it's actually UAVs, right? It's
Yeah.
unmanned programming. Actually, it's we actually got that from a friend of mine. It's work on an AI and graphics system for UAVs for
Oh, nice.
Okay.
commercial use. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, good luck.
Very cool.
We'll all be rooting for you. Yeah, and it would be great to afterwards, if anybody's looking to get in touch with any of these fine developers, you can always reach out to me, and I will put you in touch. Or you can go to the NVIDIA Omniverse Discord server, and these guys are very active on there. And also, if you have any work, anyone who's watching an Omniverse that you'd like to share and do a similar type of show and tell, please get in touch with us. Wendy's very accessible on the forum. My email is very easy. I have an alias, so you can just use edmar@nvidia.com. That's EDMAR. And you could shoot me a note to ask any questions about these live streams or Omniverse in general. Or like I said, if you want to reach out to these folks, I'll be happy to put you in touch. Before we bid farewell, is there anything that either of you want to add that maybe we left out, or that you want to highlight before we go?
No, everything is cool. I believe that everything is cool for me.
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to thank you all for not only for today, but also working with us for the past few months. And
Yeah.
this is, I feel like this is definitely the beginning of a great relationship also between NVIDIA Omniverse team and UAD. We're excited to help you further your program, and
Absolutely.
we'll talk about more in the future about what we can do to help. But we're very excited about universities that are taking Omniverse to their program, their programs, their students, to be able to showcase and enable them to create new things using this kind of powerful platform for simulation and collaboration. So if there are any universities that are interested, please get in touch with us as well. But yeah, in terms of I'm very grateful for your first kind of introduction to us on the Omniverse Discord server, and then for your follow-up in the article and participating on a user group last month and this live stream. So thank you all so much. It's a genuine honor to be able to chat with you, and thank you for making so much time and speaking in English. Spanish, I wouldn't do nearly as well as you have done in Spanish. So thank you very much.
Thank you to give us the space and the time so we can talk about all the process and all the projects that we have been doing here in the university.
I think
Thanks for everything.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, on behalf of the entire development team at Omniverse, thank you. Honestly.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you
has
very
been an
much.
honor, actually.
Yeah.
We really appreciate the opportunity and everything. It has been a really cool and great experience.
Yeah, we love you guys. And
We do.
make sure you keep in touch with us as you go on in your careers,
Yeah, sure.
So next week's live stream is going to be same day and time. So we try to do these a Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. So next week will be the same time, and it's going to be with two of our developers, TJ and Paul. And Wendy and I will be speaking to them about Nucleus and the whole collaboration aspect of Omniverse. So the title is based on TJ's GTC talk, which was Virtual Worlds for Engineers and Designers, Omniverse Nucleus for Collaborations. So we're going to be spending time. If you didn't see that talk and you were registered for GTC, I think you could still watch it. Just go to the GTC website to watch the video. Otherwise, you can just tune into our live stream and you'll get a nice live presentation and Q&A for the collaborative aspect. And it should be a ton of fun. We haven't had TJ on yet, and he is brilliant. If you follow him on social media, you know what
He's
I'm
so
saying
fun.
right away.
Yeah.
And Paul, obviously, Paul is responsible for many of the documentation, much of the documentation, not only in writing, but also with the video. So a lot of the tutorials that you see on NVIDIA On Demand, as well as our YouTube channel, is from Paul Kind himself. So he'll be joining us live. He was with us last week with the physics team. So he's becoming a good friend of the live stream channel. So with that, I'll say, Wendy, thank you so much for your great job handling all the broadcasting, as you always do, and for putting this up on RSS. Wendy has been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to improve these live streams. It's working. We got a new live stream server coming. We don't know. Soonish in 2022.
We look. So we bought it, and then we looked at the delivery date, and it said might arrive in 4 months, and we were like, what?
It was a typo.
Yeah, I hope so. It better not be 4 months.
Yeah, but I think this has been great for us to be. We were on Twitch for a while exclusively, and then we were just able to open up that capability to broadcast to both Twitch and YouTube. So this has been even greater. We're interacting with lots of new users, which is fantastic. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. We'll talk to TJ and Paul about Nucleus and collaboration. So thank you.
Thanks everyone. Love all of you.
Thank you very much. See ya.